What that establishes, is that in the 20 odd years that the army has been operating in the valley, we've established a military domination. So maybe now is the time, therefore, to take a political leap of faith.
Absolutely.
But the sense then that one gets is when the Prime Minister or when the Home Minister tries to push for some changes to be brought into the valley, whether it comes to the Armed Forces Special Power Act or when it comes to the issue of troop withdrawal, the army acts at that time as an obstacle to this political endeavor.
See, army has never been an obstacle in any one of these measures. All that the army is saying is what I said earlier. Please take a holistic look. Kashmir is not a problem because if you do A, you will achieve. It is not mathematics that if you do Armed Forces Special Power Act, everything is going to become rosy. It will not. What are you going to do if the situation goes bad after 6 months? Are you going to reimpose it? So I think we have to take a very, very different look at it. And somebody who is to look and chalk out long-term plan. It is not.
What would this be? This different look and this long-term plan?
Okay. What it means is that please look at all these sets that I talked of. Look at how they will play out in next 5 to 6 years. Then implement them. Don't do them because it is expediency at a particular time for a particular purpose. That doesn't pay. We've seen it happening in Kashmir. Lot of times our things have been going like a sine wave. You go up, then you go down, then you suddenly say, no, we went wrong. It doesn't happen that way. You've got to have a focus. You've got to have a resolve to achieve that focus. And you've got to have a long-term game plan where you are able to look at external influences and internal influences as to what do you want to do ultimately. And it's something which you got to put some people on the job to sit down and work out and not only look at short-term gains.
When the issue of troop withdrawals came up, you said that the time is not conducive for the army to be withdrawn. What, according to you, would be a conducive time? What are the set of conditions you would like to achieve before you feel confident that now the army can be removed from the valley?
The day these 42 terrorist camps are winded up, the day we have our neighbors saying, look here, I'm not going to do any proxy war, I think that will be the right time to say, okay, you wind up the army. After all, what is the army doing out there? Army is looking at the line of control. Maximum number is there. What we have in the hinterland is as part of a dynamic deployment that we have done to ensure that these terrorists, when they infiltrate, at various stages they are tackled. Now, if people are going to infiltrate, you require some people who can ultimately take care of them, as also build up that confidence in the population. Look here, you will not be subjected to atrocities by some of these terrorists as they did in 90s when they came in, and support the establishment. That establishment is the government of the day. That establishment is the law and order machinery. We are not talking of the army at all now. So if you have to wind up this portion, then you have to ensure that these infiltrations are not there at all. So that is how I look at it.
What you're essentially saying is any decision on troop withdrawal depends on the situation across the border.
Absolutely.
Does it irk you in some way, sir, that a decision gets announced to the public and the army chief does not even know that this is the decision that the Home Ministry wishes to take?
Well, that's why I said, so far as the army is concerned, we do not feel that there is a requirement at the moment. The day we feel the requirement, we will tell the government. In fact, we will tell our ministry, and I'm quite sure they'll communicate it accordingly. I still feel that what it was meant for at that time was a reduction of the paramilitary forces and the central police forces to reduce that visibility factor. So far as army is concerned, it has already done a lot in terms of how people are deployed, how people have gone to the cantonments, etc.
Okay. When it comes to the 42 terror camps that you spoke about, do they exist independent of the involvement of the Pakistani establishment, or do they sustain themselves because of the direct help that they receive from the Pakistani army and the ISI?
See, there are inputs of various kinds that are available, and nobody, I can say that with confidence, will exist independently without somebody in power not knowing about it. So now, which establishment knows about it, I leave it to you to make a judgment on that. But I think there is a complicity.